Hello and welcome to Stitch Your Bit. We are here at the Public Records Office at Northern Ireland, known as PRONI, in the Titanic Quarter, and today it's the 80th anniversary of VE Day. The Second World War ended in Europe on the 8th of May 1945. We had to wait until August before Far East prisoners of war were released and repatriated, so it's a bittersweet time. It's the end of hardship, loss and separation, but a beginning of a new era. That's what we're doing today. We are remembering the end of the Second World War, we're remembering the sacrifices, but also remembering the time ahead. I've got a little picture here, and that is actually my mother and her sister in Bournemouth, 1945. They'd celebrated the end of the Second World War. Everything that they went through just seems so much more relative. I've designed a project to create a collaborative piece that through stitching we're going to remember people. One piece I've done is 1945, but if you look really closely you'll see that is the universal Morse code for V, for victory, and that was used towards the end and the build-up to the end of the Second World War, quite significant. People have been asking me, could you embroider my grandfather's name, my father's name? So I've got a whole large piece of fabric here with names that I'm beginning to stitch. Mary, well, it was her birthday. She was 1 on VE Day 1945. Owen as well. This was a gentleman who was an evacuee and is now living with dementia. So through stitches, we are remembering names, remembering people as well. The war affected everybody. But I was just talking to the wonderful group that I've got behind me. If you were ever short of knowing, well, what could I include in a sewing project about memory? Lyrics to songs are fantastic. Tomorrow, Just You Wait and See, in any context, is a really, really lovely thing. So at the end of today, with 80 people who've been stitching on the 80th anniversary of VE Day, we hope to have the beginnings of a new project, like the beginning of a new era, and we'll continue stitching. New friendships have been made, stories have been heard, people have brought in some wonderful objects. We've also got a little mini museum here of objects, so I'm really delighted to be taking part and I hope you enjoy it. The reason for this project is I just felt that VE Day was a very significant date. So our backdrop is a really lovely Ulster linen sheet, a bed sheet. This is so exquisitely embroidered, I couldn't bear to cut it up. So what I'm planning on doing is anything that you stitch, your bit, will be sewn onto here. I've already started on this. Myra Gray I've added. My granny had a hairdressing salon in London during the Blitz. She was from Cork, and she'd never cut hair in her life, but she did so during the war. On top of that, there's my husband's uncle, Sergeant Major Victor Quinn, and his dates, and his wife Iris. So a real mélange, a real mixture. Betty is my friend's mother. She died this year, and she was an evacuee. Matthew Cameron, he flew. He flew with Douglas Bader. So if I have 20 minutes spare, I know I can do a short name. I want you to feel inspired. When you have completed or started your piece, all I'm going to ask you to do is write in pencil, but what I'm then doing is pinning that onto the piece that you do. The whole philosophy today is, as a group, we're going to help each other. The most important thing is I want you to feel really welcome. So all these stories have been told to me, and I hadn't realised how ingrained they had become. When my mother died, we were sorting through all her documents. There was a page from a diary that had been torn out because it was VE Day. And I was cross-referencing the handwriting. And for years we thought it was my mum, Pat's diary, and I contacted one of my cousins and I said, I think this is Terry's, this isn't Pat's. So it's my aunt's diary. So what I'm going to do is just not read the whole thing, but just to give you a flavour. You have to bear in mind, these are little girls from Bantry living in London. They don't have Irish accents, okay? But they were very Irish, and they gave me this really strong love of Ireland that I maintain to this day. And that's why I ended up coming to live in Northern Ireland, because of them. So this is Terry's VE Day diary, just a short extract. May the 7th. Great day of excitement and suspense. Everybody waiting for news that the war is over. Finally, at 9 o'clock, it was announced that the Germans had agreed to and signed the terms of surrender, and Churchill was officially announcing this at 3 o'clock tomorrow. May the 8th, ... VE Day, ... 8th of May. Beautiful writing. Everyone is just mad with excitement. Even we have a Union Jack hoisted from our front window and several smaller flags. We all went to town in the afternoon. It was a very sultry day. We got out at Leicester Square. No one was allowed off at Piccadilly, and all you could see were throngs of people everywhere and flags and streamers decorating the buildings. Everyone had on red, white and blue rosettes, and the atmosphere was one of immense gaiety. Mummy, Granny, hairdresser, Myra Gray, acquired a blister on her heel, which rather marred her afternoon. Consequently, she and Auntie Annie, they went home for a lovely cup of tea. We surged forth amongst the delirious crowds, and to our great joy we saw several cars drive past containing members of the cabinet, and then Churchill. We cheered like Billy-O, and as the car passed we chased along behind it. We heard Winston was going to talk from the balcony, so very hurriedly we took ourselves around there in time to catch the occasional glimpse of the Prime Minister. So that is what in museum circles we call a primary source account. Hi, well, we're back now for a very, very busy session. We've just started session 2 of Stitch Your Bit. The first session just blew me away. People are embroidering, and as you can see, I've got a little piece here. But what we're doing is making sure that everybody writes their name and their contact details on this little label with a little bit of history about the subject. So this is the hairdressing salon in Hounslow, Middlesex, 1939 to 56, where Elizabeth Keane, my grandmother, worked. It was her hairdressing salon during the Blitz. We were just talking in a short break there, and we think there's still a year's work to do on this project. So we feel that this time next year we will get that completed. So I think this isn't the end of the project, this is just the beginning.
Mum's first birthday was on VE Day, so we've always remembered that growing up. I've done a few pieces here to celebrate my mum's birthday. This was a flower representing the month of May, which is the lily of the valley. And we lost my mum's dad during the war. My nana had a lot of this sort of thing in her house. The crinoline lady, and her name was Agnes Blackman, and obviously she was widowed with 3 young children, so things were difficult. They lived 3 streets back from the shipyards on the River Tyne, so they received a lot of damage to the area. To celebrate that it was over and that there was going to be no more loss was an important event.
Hello and welcome back to our third session of the day for our Stitch Your Bit, which is our commemorative stitching at the Public Records Office here in Titanic Quarter. I'm here with our third group today. It has been quite an overwhelming day. There's been fun, there's been laughter, but there has been heightened emotion as well because people in this last session have all brought really personal stories with them. And some of them just really caught me. You know, we're standing here under the yellow cranes of Harland and Wolff in this city that was bombed literally almost to nothing in 1941. So the fact that we are celebrating, commemorating victory through stitch today is amazing. We've had some lovely stories. We've got visitors from Boston, we've got visitors from France, we've got local people, and I think friendships have been made and formed. And wouldn't you say, bit of Blitz spirit? Yeah. I think I've been waiting all my life to do this project, and I've got the last entry in the diary for VE Day written by my aunt on VE Day, 8th of May 1945. I had some new shoes, and after having had half the population of London step on my feet, I just couldn't walk anymore. We were carried back to Shaftesbury Avenue and past Rainbow Corner, from which Americans were at the windows and balconies throwing out cigarettes, gum and donuts, some of which was making a landing just above my head. By now I feel near crippled, so reluctantly we discovered which station we were allowed to enter and leave with ease and certainty. We sank into what seemed to me to be the most comfortable chair on the Underground. To me, that just sums up this lovely picture that my aunt and my mum had had a fantastic day. But this is just the start of the project. We're already thinking of other ways that we can pass stitching from one person to another. Stitching isn't new, collaborative stitching is relatively new. So I hope you've enjoyed it and thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.